Hi, I'm Clem. Thank you for joining us on this episode of the Production Channel. We're here once again with Reggie Butler of Performance Paradigm. Reggie, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, it's so good to be back. I like the work that you're doing. I'm so proud of the effort that you're putting into this community. And again, I've said it before, I always feel like I'm a part of this community. Always have been. So
well, I mean, you definitely are. Oh, of course. I mean, you definitely are part of the community. If it weren't for presenters and people like you being on stage, who would we shoot? Who would we light? Whose audio would we be hearing? Yeah. So, this is one of the things I do as a video projectionist, right? I understand that my job in converging and making sure that those images are in focus is in direct relation to what it is that you're doing as a presenter on stage, right? If my portion of the production is unclear and out of focus, therefore your image and what you're presenting, what you're delivering is unclear and out of focus. So I feel like we work hand in hand to deliver the message.
Yeah, and you know what I see way too many times where, if I put myself in the term of talent bucket, where talent's not aligned with the intentionality of the production, and it's just such a bad experience for the participant, whoever that is. And you can always tell, which is, again, I believe families in this community, we're all literally one family in service of each other. So I just can't see how there could be any division or divisiveness amongst this type of family, and we're supposed to be doing what we're doing right now. So I have a question. I'm glad you asked me this time, because there's a lot going on in the world. So what's the current state of the production community in terms of the human dynamic? Like, I know there's the industry has shifted, so then there's no shows to do, but is there a toll that's taking on people? Like,
yes.
what's this?
Yeah, it definitely is. And as you brought up the word family, I've been staying in contact with a lot of people, through the various means, whether it be the Monday morning devotionals, whether it be the Wednesday workouts, whether it be the Thursday happy hours. I'm always trying to find a way to be able to connect with a different pocket or a different type of person in the industry. There aren't shows going on. Shows aren't going on. Shows aren't happening. And as a technician, and in that bottom tier of communication, we just aren't aware of when things may come back. We just don't know. Like, you are a presenter. You are on that higher end of communication. Some of your clients will reach out to you and let you know what's going on, because they're the one that's writing the check before we find out as a bottom tier person. But there are a lot of people who are just hurting right now. They're scared. They're unsure of what the future will hold from the industry standpoint. But there are a lot of people as well who are just pivoting and finding a new source of income, because they have households, they have lifestyles that they want to maintain to the best of their ability. And how do you do that? You understand what your God-given gift and talent is. You understand what makes you good, or what made you good at said role. When said role is no longer available, you pivot and go somewhere else. And I know a lot of people have been able to do that. At the same time, a lot of people are frustrated. A lot of people are scared. And it's hard. It's hard right now.
Yeah, and I think it's hard, and there are some people, because everybody's on a different level, right? So if you've been in the production space for 10 or 15 years, like, you literally have the depth of a network that one of those people in the network are going to come back and call you back. If you're junior in tenure, just time in this, you might not be one of the first ones called back. So the fear cycle that you're talking about, depending on how long you've been in the industry, it's higher. It's a lot higher for some people. And I'm trying to figure out, I think one of the reasons, especially for this series, is talk about how you manage your now. Like, you've got to manage the present, because we actually don't know what's going to happen. And for all those who say they do know, they don't. Because even when some people, I already had this happen to a couple of people in our family, someone called them back and said, there's an event coming up, we want to go ahead and book you. And then even when they booked them, they rescinded the booking within 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, no, we had to change our mind. We're still going to use you, though.
I know people who are holding dates for like October, September, right around that time, hoping that the show will come back. You know, a company reach out to them, hold these dates for us, because there's a possibility, and inside that technician, that person is just, hoping for that and praying for that money to come in.
That's right.
But in the back of their mind, it's like, I don't want this one to cancel as well, because that keeps happening.
Yeah, it keeps happening. And so I think, let's center and focus on this thing in the coaching world that I'm in, and you think about emotional intelligence, things like. So let's look at it through that lens. So one of the pillars of emotional intelligence is self-management. Like, how do you manage your own range of emotions? So I know from a talent point of view, I can know the range of emotions I can go through when a gig gets canceled. And I want you to talk about what a production person would go through when a gig gets canceled, because the emotions are probably the same, but just for different reasons. So when I look at revenue that's come, I have a booking, and so I know what I was charging for that booking. And so to me, it's like it's lost revenue. So the first thing that hits me when something gets canceled is like revenue, bloop, dropped. My second tier is, based on that revenue, who was in my employ and who was I responsible for based on that revenue coming in? Because it's usually not just me. We all know this. We can't do anything by ourselves. Like, it's never just me. So who else am I now responsible for? And what I have to manage probably more than the revenue is the people I'm supposed to be taking care of. Because I feel crappy. Like, when a gig gets canceled, I'm going, I think I might be able to pivot faster, because I can pick up a different gig on Zoom or do something different, where the people that were counting on that revenue from a different perspective, like they were creating videos for it, or they've got nothing. And so I feel this sense of urgency and responsibility to make sure I'm helpful to those that helped put the package together and the experience for the learner. So that's what I have to manage. I have to manage how I feel about the people that are surrounding me. On the production side,
right,
is it the same or different?
When I was first getting started, and as a technician in learning the industry, I would take it personally. I looked at it as I was being canceled off of the job. Why aren't I good enough? What's not good? What did I do wrong? Like, all these things would go in my head, and then part of it as well is like thinking about how the office dynamic works. So did I actually did my position go away and they no longer need my role? Or was there someone else that was better than me? Or a full-time person that came in and said, no, I want that position, and now I'm being bumped. Yeah. Right? Like, so all those were thoughts, and I'm not trying to put any thoughts in somebody else's head, about what could be happening in their situation, but those were thoughts that went through my head.
And you had to manage those.
And I had to manage all of those feelings.
Then,
right.
Okay, so what do you do now?
Now, I mean, I'm just at a completely different space spiritually and emotionally as a whole. So when a situation or a job goes away or something like that, I'm like, oh, okay, there must be something else that I'm meant to do instead.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, that I'm not meant to be on that show in this space and time. So there's something else that I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah, and you know what, so it's interesting you say that. So there are people, and I'm sure people listening right now, that some people could certainly go along with that and go, yep. Because there are a lot of people that live in the mentality of it just wasn't meant to be. And you follow the pillar of that, they're supposed to be doing something else. It's a window for another opportunity. Like, you can go down the list. But there are other people, it's like, I can't think like that. Like, right. I didn't know where my next check was coming from. And so while I would love to think it wasn't meant for me, all I know is I don't have it.
Right.
And I don't know what to do next. So in that, I think one of the things we're trying to get people to center on is what to do next, no matter what the emotion is.
Yeah.
And that's a part of self-management. Like, you've got to manage yourself to the point where you can quiet yourself enough to see next. Because the gig is gone. Like, at the end of the day, it actually is gone. Right. Here's what I haven't had happen yet. And I know all of you can resonate with this. When somebody cancels a gig, they don't call you in 48 hours and go, no, it's back. No. I have yet to have that happen.
No, I haven't had that. I have not had
So
that.
if that's not good.
But what has happened, I will say, I have had some labor companies, production companies say, hey, I need to cancel you off this one, but I'm going to look out for you for the next one. Mm-hmm. And then like be in contact within a short amount of time saying, hey, we've got this.
Yeah.
It may be fewer days, it may be more days.
Yep.
But to know that that person was genuine with what they said and was actually looking out for me, it does feel good in that moment. But right now we don't have that, right?
Yeah.
We don't have that. And so from that emotional state, and I'm going to be transparent with you. It was 2 days ago. 2 days ago in the evening, during the day I was hanging out with the family, hanging out with the kids. And in the evening, I felt hollow inside.
Wow.
Like I just felt hollow. I felt empty. And one of the things that I love most about the work that I do is being able to give to others and giving my talents, giving my abilities to others, and that fills me up. It makes me feel good inside. It helps to make me feel whole. And I felt like I was in a place where I didn't have anything to give, or I didn't have anybody to give anything to. And that's actually a conversation that I've had with one of the technicians that I coach and have conversations with, because he just feels out of place right now.
Oh, wow.
He's like, where am I? Who am I? If so much of your identity was wrapped around the job that you do, and that's who you are, when you can't do that, what purpose do you serve?
Yeah.
Right. And so for me the other day, when I was having that moment, I knew that I needed to separate myself from my family. I needed to put myself in isolation. So I drew a bath and I was listening to just a message on YouTube. It was about an hour and a half long, right? But I needed to immerse myself in that environment and turn more inward and allow my inner self to fill me up from there, almost like a Big Bang Theory, right? So that what condensed to something so small needed to be energized to fill me back up.
That is a great technique. And so we use that in behavioral coaching a lot. It's like, start with yourself and, find your center and find out what rejuvenates you or starts you up again. And because usually that doesn't come from another person. Usually. A lot of times it's only because of another person do you get that energy, restart, the reignition of purpose usually comes from other people. But most times people who find themselves, I'm just going to use your word hollow for now, there's a lot of other terms for it, but have that feeling of emptiness, meaning not knowing why you exist in that empty space right now. A lot of people go through that. People go through it in relationships, in their personal lives. People go through that in work context. So it's, while we're talking about this particular community and family, like we all experience that at some point. And one of the techniques you use, which I'm so glad to hear you say, is that you knew to take the pause. It's like it was very intentional, action-oriented. I need to pause. And pausing for you looked like isolation, which is totally fine. Because when you isolate, for those of you that use that technique, when you isolate, you are removing distractions, which is really what the technique is. It's like remove distractions. If you remove the distraction, you can center. So for some people, isolation isn't necessarily alone. It's just removing distractions. So whatever version works for you, the outcome still winds up being you can get there faster because you pulled away. So taking the pause, number one, is the most important thing to do. The second thing, which I saw you do, so if I take the anatomy of what you did, is you filled it with a message. So while you isolated versus I'm just going to borrow suffering in silence. Instead of just sitting there in emptiness and going, I'm empty,
Right, yeah.
Like you filled it with a message, which is so important that people do. I have a lot of people that feel or feeling a certain way about the situation the world has presented to us right now, and they are literally in silence and not filling the gap with anything, just more silence. And then when they re-enter back into the world, they're just listening to more negativity that was the same. And so it's not helpful.
Right.
So
because it becomes a vicious cycle.
Yeah, you have to intentionally fill it with a message that is going to be helpful to you. Doesn't mean it'll work right. It's not like it's all of a sudden I'm really better and I'm great when you come out. No, But that pause and doing something with that pause with intentionality about a message to be helpful to you is what actually helps you get back. And I don't think people have ever thought about it this way, which is why I'm glad you're doing this. We want people to start to think not very differently, but think differently about the situation they're in. And it's more than just one lens, because the lens that most people are looking for is through the lens of loss.
Yeah.
And it's grief. And the cycles of grief are just, there's some people struggling right now with loss of gigs, which equates into a lot of other things.
I notice through a lot of our conversations, not being name specific, but you'll mention, someone that you coach, right? And someone that you work with, and being in that same space of coaching people and working with them and talking and speaking with them, you begin to see so many similarities in different people's situations. And there may be something that I learned over here that may be applicable to this person over here, right? And what we're talking about right now has to do a lot with the people in the live event production industry, because we were the first hit and we'll probably be the first or the last to come back, right? Because of the mass gathering of people. And if we're practicing social distancing, making sure people aren't spreading their germs and face masks and all these types of things. What we did and how we did it is not conducive to the state of the country right now. But thinking about how one of the guys that I'm working with, he realized that, during this time I asked to be able to spend more time with my family. And right now he has the opportunity to do that. That's why it's important though to build up that reserve, have that money sitting aside to be able to support yourself during times of crisis or lower end of the cash flow. But he asked for this time, and now he's able to have it. He similar to what I did. He bought a little inflatable pool in the backyard, and they have their pool time each day where they do that. And I'm spending time with my son. We're playing golf. My wife's spending time with our daughter, and they're doing their little home mani-pedis and stuff like that. But I think that what we had with our industry, though a lot of us loved our work and loved the opportunity to travel, we did spend a lot of time away from our families and away from home. And this is a hard reset. This really is a hard reset. And so, one of the things that I do is encourage a lot of people to focus back on the things what made you you before you gave so much of your soul to what we do in serving other people.
I got it. I can triple that sentiment, because there are a lot of people that, even though we have less active work, we also, for some people, the first time literally ever, they've been this active in their families, like ever.
This is the most I've ever been home.
I mean,
this is the most that I've ever been home in the 19 years that I've been in this industry.
Think about that, man. And I want everybody who's listening right now, would you please not complain about what's going on in your house right now? You weren't there before.
Yeah.
I mean, the reality is there's some people who met their family for the first time. Hear me. They met their family for the first time. Like, they got into their relationships. They had kids while they were working. They've always been, one's on the road, one goes to work, like that rhythm has always been there. And now everybody's together. For some people, it is the very first time they've seen their families. And so, not from an optimistic point of view, but from a reality point of view, would you be grateful for that? Like, I'd rather you spend the time in the mindset of being grateful for what's, like, literally a gift handed to you, and reconsider what you can do to keep, because when it does come back, and it will. It may look different, but it's coming back.
I mean,
and
it has
when
to
it
come
does,
back.
and you start to pull away from that family, what you cannot do is traumatize the family unit you just built for the last 4 months, for some 6 months. Like, you have went through a rebuilding phase. It's a reset. Like you said, unfortunately, it was a hard reset. It was like force quit on a computer. It's like, shut it down.
Control, Alt, Delete, force
like,
quit.
We just shut everything down.
Yeah.
And I think there's some beauty in that, and I don't see enough people accessing the beauty of this moment. There's some environmentalists right now. Just hear me, man. They're saying what we have done for the environment right now, by everybody not being on the road, by the air quality is different. It's the first time, and I'm gonna get these numbers wrong. I'm not even gonna say the numbers, but we haven't done a reset like this that's been good for our environment in a really long time. They're looking at the reproductive cycles of certain animal and certain species that would have, had it kept going the way we're going, would have been extinct if you forecast it out. Just because there was no place for them to find food and reproduce, et cetera, et cetera. And all that is like the animals are coming back, the earth is growing again, the air quality is better. But it was a forced reset. And what people are trying to figure out is like, how do I take that and make sure we don't devolve?
Right.
Like we're building things back up again.
The de-evolution of.
Yeah. So figure it out. So anyway, so the part that about self-management is, you owning your own now. Like own your now and don't sit too long in the space of regret. And it's like, no reason, I've got to move forward at some point. So once you decide to move forward, the question becomes, does this community know to look at the future any differently? My fear is that there's some people in our family right now that they're looking for the exact same thing they had in the same shape moving forward, and they're just going to be set up for disappointment. I'd rather our family say, wow, things are going to be different, and how can I position myself in the new version, whatever that is, to be relevant? Because if you're saying, I'm coming back, I've got my same gear that I had before, versus somebody who went, yeah, I'm back. I have a new technical competence. I have some new gear. I have a new way to use my old gear.
I'm AV Technician 2.0.
Yeah, and I have pivotal talent now. I was, I was a projectionist. Now I'm A1. I can be A2 if you need me to be. And I can, like, those people are really going to be the most valuable moving forward. But you have to see that in yourself. You really, really do. So what advice do you have, from, because you're in it, you live backstage. So think about it. For backstage lifestyles, what do you suggest people do now in what I'm going to call their positive downtime? I don't view this negative stuff. Stop it. This is a positive time for you to do something with the downtime you have. And I'm not talking about, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to figure out how to read some more books. No. What are you doing about your technical competence? You have a chance to get better. Like, what do you suggest people do?
I mean, it's two-part, because I don't want to just live on the technical competence side, okay? So I want to say that people should continue to use this opportunity to take the online. So many online classes are free right now. There's so many online classes that are free right now. There's so many webinars happening where people are sharing information. If you feel comfortable with some of the live classes going on where they're practicing social distancing, take some of those. There's so many opportunities, because gear is sitting in warehouses.
That's right.
Gear is sitting in warehouses, and companies are having workshops and classes to be able to learn the gear, because once things come back, they can trust that this person is comfortable with doing that, right? So use this opportunity to take the classes, take the webinars, take the workshops, but most importantly, or more importantly, take this time to find out what makes you happy outside of work. Rediscover that. Rediscover that relationship with your loved ones. Rediscover that relationship with yourself. And so when work does pick back up, then you can come back. You don't have to jump right in and say, go, go, go. You're like, no. I learned how to, this is key as well, I learned how to manage my lifestyle with so few finances, with such a small amount of money coming into my business or coming into my home. And I learned how to sustain life in that state. I don't need how much I was earning. So therefore, I don't need to give so much of my time to earn so much money to sustain this lifestyle. because that lifestyle's not that type of a lifestyle is not important, right? So now that you have the understanding of how to manage with a minimal income, when work comes back, don't jump right back in it trying to earn as much as you did again, because now you're getting yourself back into the same cycle where you're not spending time with yourself and you're not spending time with your loved ones.
Yeah, and I'll, so to validate some of that, there's some people that they were still trying to reach the lifestyle that you're referring to, and they're just not there yet.
Yeah.
And we're not saying to them, don't stop reaching or dreaming.
Right. And I don't want to minimize, I don't want to minimize it from that standpoint of understanding that not everyone has reached that place in life. And it's probably what you're saying, right?
Yeah.
You do have some of those lower tier technicians who are stagehands, who may not be earning said amount of a day rate that a higher end technician. And I'm not trying to minimize the struggles and the pains and frustrations that they're going through right now. But just know that this is part of the learning process.
Yeah.
This is part of what it takes to be a freelancer, independent contractor, small business owner, entrepreneur. We are all of those things in this industry as individuals floating around.
Yeah, I think that there's something that people have heard the term gig economy, and I think everybody, just hear this in the right context, we are all going to be better entrepreneurs because of this moment in time. Like we're going to figure some things out, and we're all going to be in this startup mindset in order to survive, and we're going to realize that that startup mindset is like pretty good. It's like, you know what?
Or you're going to realize you're not meant for this.
That's right. Hey, now you're talking what I was hoping we were going to get to. Yeah. Some of us in this community lucked our way in. We didn't plan on being here. Come on. There's some people behind some cameras that is not what they planned on doing. Right. They got the gig, it went pretty good, and they kept coming back. People kept calling them back, and they realized, hey, I'm a projectionist. I didn't plan on being a projectionist.
But I'm going to take this money because they keep offering it to me.
They keep offering it to me. And what I would say to you, instead of being accidental about what happens next, be intentional about it. Some of you, you've been looking for a way out. Some of you are like, I hate being inside a dark room 14 hours a day.
I hate traveling as much as I am.
Yes, I love what I'm doing, but I don't see sunlight 240 days out of the year because I'm always inside all day. And when I'm outside, it's to travel to go someplace because I hate that part, but I love what I do. I love what I do. So now I'm saying, what if this is your opportunity to create a new ramp, to go do something else? And it doesn't mean that you're not valuable in what you did. It's how do you have what's called transferable skills? There are some people that based on what they do in the production world, it is absolutely transferable into other industries.
Right.
I know some people right now that they are graphic designers, that they were graphic designers inside a production company for the brand of the client that came in. And they're realizing everybody's looking for graphic design. Oh, wait, what? And they've never had a reason to look that way. Some of you need to come from backstage and you know what? Be on stage.
Yeah.
Because I'm challenging you about something.
Oh,
you know,
Lord.
Hear me. The fact that you're doing this is one thing, but you say people to take these webinars and take as many classes as you can. I'm challenging you and everybody in this family. Why don't you start giving some master classes? You're really good at what you do. Instead of telling people to go take one, build one.
Right.
Build the master class yourself and have people tune into it. Do your part. I mean, if there's warehouses full of gear, go to that warehouse and say, I'm going to show somebody how to use this and give a master class. Master classes seem to be a thing right now. Everybody's doing a master class. Okay, great. Give one. Give 3 or 4 of them. And then step back. That doesn't have to be your new thing, but I will tell you this. Those master classes that people are building right now, they are content that will live on. And some people in our family, in this community, are super gifted and nobody even knows they exist. And I'm saying, you're masters at your craft. You should let people know. You should let people know that's your job, man. That's why you started this.
Yeah.
Like, make sure you highlight some stories of some people that are real masters in this space. And for those of you, and you're using the term lower tier, and I'm going to say, without the lower tier technician, we wouldn't be able to do crap.
Right. Very true.
If they didn't show up,
because you've got people who I'm not getting these dirty. I'm not pushing.
I've watched some of you upper tier production people not want to pick up stuff and wrap cable and blah blah blah.
All right. On that note,
knock it off.
on that note, Reggie, I want to thank you. I don't want to, have the viewers not want to watch or listen because you're getting
Well,
too
I tell
personal.
the truth though, and every people know me and you know me. I think I appreciate you having me, and I think that the positive side of this is everything will be okay, but you have to have the mindset, get your mind right, get your heart right, and be in a space of making positive change occur. So anytime I can be a part of a message like that, I really appreciate it. And thank you for doing what you do.
Yeah,
I really
thank
love
you.
it.
Air shake.
Okay. All right, man.
All right, thank you again, Reggie. So for everyone joining us on this episode of the Production Channel, thank you. Thank you for listening in. Thank you for understanding that our mission is to help you all project the best image possible, right? If you want more information, please follow CLEMCO AV on all the social media platforms. Feel free to reach out to us at clemcoav.com, and we look forward to connecting with you. Thank you.